Welcome. Today I'm going to be unboxing Above and Below. Now, I did a how to play video on this game a very long time ago. It was actually one of the very first games I put on my YouTube channel. But I used the library copy when I was doing the how to play video. And now I finally decided to buy it for myself because this game is really fun. I really love this game. It's also a game that is also a Red Raven game, and this is my only Red Raven game. So what's really fascinating about this game is you'll get to journey into the below, into this area known as the below area. And this is where the game truly shines. This whole adventuring down into the great unknown, in the great below, is so fun. So let's take a look and see what's in this box. Well, here's the encounter book. Now this is what I'm talking about. This is what you're going to encounter. When you go into the Great Below, you're going to have a number of encounters, and it will be sort of like what you'll expect to find down there will be pretty random. So like, it just depends on the cards you get and what number it is and what you roll and all that, because there are so many things that can happen to you down there. So many things. So many different encounters. I've never played with even, I would have to say I've probably never even played with even 25% of all the possible encounters that you could find down there in the below area, because there is quite a lot. So that is awesome. The encounter book is definitely the best part of the game. Then here's our rule book. It's nice having two hands. So it's a pretty nice rule book. Pretty easy to understand. Here's our player boards. So each player is going to get a player board, and there's different colors on each of the player boards. So we got blue, we got green, we got a white, and we got sort of like a reddish brown, looks like. Then this is going to be a number of things are going to be used for this board here. First of all, you're going to have cubes that go here, and when you decide to go into the below area, your reputation, this is for your reputation. So depending on what you do down there, whether you save people, whether you steal, whether you help people out, whether you run away like a coward, will depend on your reputation. Your reputation hopefully will go up, but it could also go down. And if it goes down too much, you'll get minus points at the end of the game. So obviously, you want to have a good reputation. But sometimes you just don't have a choice. Sometimes the only thing you can do is run, or sometimes the only thing you can do is steal or something like that. And sometimes maybe, or fight. And sometimes maybe that's a good thing, and sometimes maybe that's not. And that's another thing. You have no way of knowing for sure if it's what you do down here is going to be good, give you a good reputation, or bad, until after you have finished. Now when you do an encounter, when you go down here into the Great Below, you are going to have another player read you from the encounter book what you encounter down there. So they know what you're going to possibly find, they know what rewards you'll get, and you won't know exactly what's going to happen to you when you decide to make choices and stuff when you go down into the below area. Then over here we have all of the different resources you could find in this game. You can get tons of extra points for finding resources. This is where your cider tokens will go. And when you go and collect money, the first player who goes and collects money each round can collect a cider token. This is the number of rounds there will be, so basically everybody will get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns. So everybody will get 6 turns, or should I say 7 turns. They'll get 7 turns, and then the game will be over, basically. So everybody's going to get to play 7 times. So that means you have 7 opportunities to go into the Great Below. Maybe even more, depending on how many workers you have. Because over here you can purchase workers, or should I say villagers, to add to your village. And so you'll have a lot more villagers as the game goes on. And there might be some times towards the end of the game where you have plenty of extra villagers and you want to make 2 trips down into the Great Below on a turn, which is totally cool. I've done that. That's a lot of fun. Then we've got obviously all the stuff I'll have to push out, all the tokens and the villagers as well, which is really cool. And we've got more stuff to punch out. And we've got even more stuff to punch out. And even something already came out. Then we've got the dice. So you're going to be using dice in this game quite a bit. These are the cubes you're going to use for the reputation tract. These are the cavern cards. And so you're going to be wanting to build buildings. And so in this game, you're going to have, you're going to start with 3 beds. And when you get more villagers, you're going to need more beds. So you're definitely going to want to try to build buildings that will have beds for your villagers to sleep on. And there's a whole bunch of different buildings here. Some will give out potions, some will produce resources, some will just give you straight victory points. This one, everyone will start with this. Everyone will start with this card, which has 3 beds, because you'll start with 3 villagers. So everybody gets one of those. And there's another one of those, obviously. So that's really cool. This is like the first player token. Everyone's going to get an opportunity to go first in this game. So the first player has the advantage in this game. But every round, this will get passed to another player, you know, and so everyone will get the chance to go first. So lots of different buildings. And up here, that's the cost, how much they're going to cost if you buy them and build them. You also need a villager who has a hammer above his head. Those are the ones that can build the buildings. And so if you don't have a villager that has a hammer, or don't have one that's available, then you won't be able to build anything either, even if you have enough money. So those are all the buildings that are above ground. Now, they're expensive. They're pretty much more or less very expensive. And so even though technically you could play this game without going into the below area, you don't want to, because the buildings underground are actually going to be cheaper. Oh, we have another cider token. So I got it open finally. So when you go into, when you have a successful encounter down there, you're going to get one of these cavern cards, because you need these cavern cards in order to build buildings in the Great Below, in the below area. Because here are the buildings, and if you look closely, we got some really cheap buildings here. Some are a little bit more expensive, but like if you want to build a bed, those are cheap. Above ground, if you want to build a bed, it's probably going to cost you like 9 money. If you go down to the Great Below, though, you can get a bed for just 4 money. So it's a lot more cheaper to get beds for your villagers if you start going down into the Great Below, exploring. So lots of different buildings, especially a lot of these buildings are like mushroom houses, produce a lot of mushrooms and things. So, and there's even some that are like, they give you a bed and also provide resources, so those are really cool, right? And then obviously these are victory points as well. So, you know, there's a lot of different buildings you can build down there. And then these, like I said, they'll just be like a stack of these, and it'll be like this. They'll be face down on the table like this, and this is a lantern, for instance. When you go down into the Great Below, you're going to flip it over like that. You're going to put your villages on top of the card, because you can have like you can send 2 villagers down there. You can even send more if you want to, but you can send 2 villagers down there basically, because it takes 2 to dive when you go swimming, right? It takes 2 to dive. So when you're going to dive into the below area, you're going to need 2 villagers to go down there together. And then you're going to roll the dice, and then depending on what dice you roll will be the encounter number that you'll end up doing. And obviously these cards all have tons of different numbers on them. So it'll be a different game every time you play. I don't think maybe just one time did I encounter something the same time again. Maybe only once. But it's going to be very long before you start encountering things you've encountered before. There are tons of encounters that seem very similar to each other, and then the rewards are different. So, but there's a lot of encounters. Each of these cards have 6 different encounters, and obviously there's a lot of cards here. So this is going to provide tons of gameplay for sure. Well, thank you guys for watching. Since I did a how to play video for this game, I'll probably just do another one in the future. Or I might just do a gameplay video, a full gameplay video. That'd be nice. Well, thank you guys for watching. Oh, and before you go, some of the villagers are really cool. Like, you know, the frog folk. That's a frog folk. This is the only villager in the game. That's a frog folk. This is a merfolk, and he's the only villager you can get. That is a merfolk. The hammer means that you can send this villager to build buildings for you if you have enough money. The feather here means you can recruit more villagers, so you can send him to recruit a villager. So that's another thing. You can't just simply have enough money to get a villager. You also have to have a villager who's going to recruit a villager who has the feather above their head. And so that's really cool. Some of these have feathers, some of these have hammers. You know, there's a bunch of different villagers. Some of these villagers, though, can only be found in the Great Below. So, like, this one is like a slime girl or something. She can only be found in the Great Below. This is a Logos, and he is a resident of the Great Below, of the Below area. And so you might encounter his kind, and you might even have an encounter rate where you'll get a Logos who wants to join your village. So that could happen. These right here, I've never actually encountered these before in the Great Below. Never. But apparently there's 2 possible encounters where you'll encounter these guys down there. So that's really cool. And then these cats, I've only encountered one of them. So apparently there's 2 possible encounters with the cats. And then I have encountered the slime girl once. So the only one I haven't encountered is the Logos, for sure. And these guys down there. But yeah, you can encounter some people down there too. There are other people living down there in the below area. It's not just the weird ones like the Logos, or the Slime Girl, or the big giant cats, or these guys. You might encounter people down there too. Normal people. But what most often will probably be the case is you'll run into some merfolk down there too. I don't think I've ever come across a frog folk down there, so I don't know if there's a frog folk in the below or not. But still, that's one of the villagers you can get. And you don't have to go into the right below to get these too. So that's pretty nice, that you can still get them without actually having to go down there. Well, thank you guys for watching. See you guys again in the next video.